A major new chapter has opened in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, marking a significant escalation in the search for truth and accountability. The case, which has gripped the nation for years, is now entering uncharted territory. Bill and Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify before Congress, a move that has sent shockwaves through the political world and reignited public debate. After months of mounting pressure and a looming threat of contempt from the House Oversight Committee, the Clintons will now answer questions under oath, in a setting that demands transparency and honesty. This is a pivotal moment, bringing two of America's most prominent political figures directly into the heart of the probe and raising the stakes for everyone involved. The public has long demanded answers about Epstein's powerful connections, the extent of his influence, and how he managed to evade justice for so many years, despite mounting evidence. The Clintons initially resisted, offering only written statements and dismissing the investigation as politically motivated, fueling further speculation and controversy. But the committee, led by Republicans determined to get answers, insisted on in-person testimony, arguing that only direct questioning could uncover the full truth. With the agreement finally reached, all eyes are now on what the Clintons will reveal under oath and how their testimony might impact the ongoing search for justice for Epstein's many victims. Epstein's story is one of staggering wealth, unchecked power, and horrific crimes, made even more complex by his ties to global elites and influential figures across the world. The involvement of a former president and a former Secretary of State makes the stakes even higher, drawing international attention and scrutiny. This testimony could be a turning point in understanding how Epstein operated for so long and whether powerful connections helped shield him from consequences. In the coming scenes, we'll break down the facts, examine the Clintons' connections to Epstein, and explore why this investigation has become so politically charged and divisive. Our goal is to provide a clear, balanced look at a case that tests the limits of justice, accountability, and public trust in America's institutions. Let's dive in and uncover what lies beneath the headlines. Jeffrey Epstein was a wealthy financier whose name became synonymous with scandal and secrecy. He used his immense fortune and powerful connections to hide a dark secret: years of abuse and exploitation of young women and girls, many of whom were vulnerable and seeking help. Epstein owned lavish properties around the world, from Palm Beach to a private island in the Caribbean. He mingled with world leaders, celebrities, and royalty, building a network of influence that shielded him from scrutiny and allowed his crimes to go undetected for years. In 2008, Epstein was convicted in Florida for soliciting a minor, but served only 13 months in jail, allowed out for work during the day, a privilege rarely granted in such cases. This lenient deal sparked outrage and suspicions that his wealth and connections protected him from true justice, fueling public anger and calls for accountability. Survivors later described a systematic network of abuse, implicating not just Epstein but also his associates, who allegedly helped recruit and silence victims. In 2019, Epstein was arrested again on federal sex trafficking charges. But before he could stand trial and reveal more about his network, he died in jail. His death ruled a suicide, though it remains shrouded in controversy and speculation. His sudden passing left victims without closure, and the public with countless unanswered questions about the true extent of his crimes and the reach of his connections. Ghislaine Maxwell, his longtime associate and confidant, was later convicted for her role in the abuse, and is now serving a 20-year sentence. But many believe she was not the only one involved. Yet many believe the story doesn't end there. The case has become a symbol of how the powerful can evade justice, and how much remains hidden from public view. The investigation continues, focusing on whether others helped Epstein, enabled his crimes, or actively covered them up. Authorities are still sifting through evidence and following new leads. That's why connections to powerful figures like Bill Clinton are under such intense scrutiny. The public wants to know who else may have been involved or aware of Epstein's activities. The public and victims want to know who else was involved, how did Epstein operate for so long, and who helped him maintain his web of secrecy. The search for answers is far from over, and every new revelation brings more questions. Epstein's legacy is a stark reminder of how power, privilege, and money can shield wrongdoing and delay justice for years. The investigation now turns to those in his orbit: friends, business partners, and anyone who may have played a role in his crimes or their cover-up. And that's why the Clintons' testimony matters, not just for the case, but for the broader fight for truth and accountability. The House Oversight Committee is leading the charge, determined to shine a light on the darkest corners of Jeffrey Epstein's criminal enterprise. Their mission is to uncover the full scope of Epstein's criminal network, piecing together evidence that has eluded justice for years. The committee's focus is clear: who knew about Epstein's crimes, who may have participated, and who, if anyone, helped him evade accountability. They are also investigating whether powerful individuals used their influence to shield Epstein or silence his victims, raising questions about corruption at the highest levels. The committee's authority to subpoena documents and compel testimony is a powerful tool in this relentless search for truth and justice. Bill Clinton's public association with Epstein makes him a key witness, drawing intense public and media scrutiny to the proceedings. The committee demanded in-person testimony after the Clintons initially refused, citing political motives and concerns about fairness. When faced with the threat of contempt proceedings and mounting public pressure, the Clintons ultimately agreed to appear before Congress. The committee sees this as a significant win for oversight, transparency, and the rule of law in America. Their goal is simple yet profound: answers for Epstein's victims and the American people, who deserve to know the truth. Testimony from those in Epstein's orbit, no matter how powerful or well-connected, is crucial to understanding how he operated for so long. Only by questioning everyone involved, and leaving no stone unturned, can Congress hope to prevent such abuses from happening again in the future. The stakes are high, the eyes of the nation are watching, and the search for accountability continues. Bill Clinton's connection to Jeffrey Epstein is well documented. Flight logs show Clinton took multiple trips on Epstein's private jet, the Lolita Express, for foundation work in the early 2000s. Epstein also visited the White House 17 times during Clinton's presidency. Clinton's team insists he was unaware of Epstein's crimes and cut off contact years before Epstein's 2019 arrest. Clinton denies ever visiting Epstein's private island, a key site of abuse. Despite these denials, the number of flights and the length of their association keep public suspicion alive. The House Oversight Committee wants to press Clinton on what he knew, who he met, and whether he saw anything suspicious. His testimony is a critical piece in understanding how Epstein operated with such impunity. Hillary Clinton's position is clear. She denies any personal connection to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. Her lawyers state she never met Epstein, never flew on his plane, and never visited his properties. Her name does not appear on any flight logs. The committee subpoenaed her not for direct ties, but because of her public role and proximity to Bill Clinton. Investigators want to know if she was aware of her husband's travels or heard anything about Epstein in their circles. Her legal team calls the subpoena political harassment, insisting she has no relevant information. Despite objections, she agreed to testify to avoid a prolonged legal battle. Her testimony is expected to be brief, simply confirming she had no relationship with Epstein. For Hillary Clinton, this is about fulfilling a legal obligation and moving on. The Epstein investigation is mired in partisan conflict. The Clintons and Democrats accuse the Republican-led committee of using the probe for political gain, not justice. They argue the focus on the Clintons is a distraction from Donald Trump's own past association with Epstein. Republicans insist their investigation is about accountability, not politics, and point to bipartisan support for the subpoenas. Both sides accuse each other of playing politics, making it hard for the public to know who to trust. For Republicans, Clinton's documented ties to Epstein make him a key witness. For Democrats, the investigation is a targeted attack. Every new development is viewed through a partisan lens, complicating the search for truth. The central issue, justice for Epstein's victims, often gets lost in the political crossfire. The investigation took a dramatic turn with the release of millions of pages of evidence under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Among the files, never-before-seen photos of Bill Clinton with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, including images in a jacuzzi and swimming with Maxwell. These visuals intensified public scrutiny and anticipation for Clinton's testimony. Democrats argue the document release is incomplete and possibly selective, with key information redacted. They call for the full, unredacted release of all files. Republicans see the release as a win for transparency and justification for their focus on Clinton. The evidence itself has become a political battleground, with both sides interpreting it to fit their narratives. The public is left to sift through conflicting claims. The truth remains clouded by mistrust and partisanship. The central question: is there hard evidence tying Bill Clinton or Donald Trump to Epstein's crimes? As of now, the answer is no. Clinton's friendship and interactions with Epstein are documented, but no proof has emerged that he knew of or participated in the abuse. Clinton denies any knowledge of Epstein's crimes, and no evidence has contradicted that. Trump also had a known association with Epstein, but there's no evidence linking him to criminal acts. Both men's judgment and associations are under scrutiny, but not their criminal complicity. The investigation continues, but so far, the connection is one of association, not proven wrongdoing. Separating fact from rumor is crucial. The public deserves answers, but the evidence must guide the conclusions. For now, neither Clinton nor Trump has been directly implicated in Epstein's crimes. The Clintons' agreement to testify is a pivotal moment in the Epstein saga. Epstein's crimes and connections have eroded public trust in powerful institutions. This investigation, despite its political controversy, is an attempt to restore accountability. The testimony of public figures like the Clintons is about more than politics. It's about transparency and justice. For Epstein's victims, every new piece of evidence and testimony is a step toward closure. The outcome will signal whether the justice system can hold the powerful accountable. The search for truth in the Epstein case is a test for the entire country. The goal must remain clear: uncover the full extent of Epstein's network and deliver justice. The world is watching to see if truth and justice will prevail.